It's time for another Ute Profile. I'm Bill Riley, the voice of the Utes, and we're profiling another Utah men's basketball player today. Young man who grew up right here in the state of Utah. We got to see him on the floor last year as a Ute for the first time. Eli Ballstaedt with us here, pride of Wasatch High School in Heber City. Eli, how are you?
I'm doing good, Bill. Thank you.
It's good to be with you. So how's your last 6 months been? The last time I saw you in person and most of your teammates was that day in Las Vegas when the
Jeez.
season ended, and then the world went crazy after that. So what's the last 6 months been like for you?
Um, I've been back home in Midway with my family. I was able to pick up a little summer job with my neighbor, and then trying to work out. It was fun those first couple months. I was shoveling off snow in our backyard so I could get some shots up. But a lot of time with my family. It was really nice to catch up with them.
So were you able to show – it was an outdoor court? Most of your teammates are working out on indoor courts. You're outside shooting up in
Yeah.
Heber and up in Midway?
Well, everything was shut down. The high school was shut down, and I couldn't get in there. Even the local churches wouldn't let us in, so I had to shoot outside.
Every good Mormon kid I knew that grew up in Utah had a key to the church. Did they take all the keys back,
Yeah,
Eli?
yeah. They just put up signs. They said, "No way, you can't come in."
So, you got to spend some time with the family. You got to do school online. You got a part-time job. When did you really start focusing on the game and really kind of getting back into the basketball swing of things?
Well, I don't think that ever stopped. I mean, of course, there was a part of that where you're trying to rebuild those muscles and get back into really good health. But I think the whole time I had a lot of conversations with my dad and with my brother just about basketball and how it was going to improve over the summer.
So let's walk back in time for just a minute. You grew up here, as I mentioned, Wasatch High School, and you were a heck of a good basketball player.
Thank you.
When did playing Division I basketball really become a thing for you? Because you went on a mission right out of high school. So
Yeah.
you knew there was going to be kind of a 2-year window where you weren't going to play at all. Were you thinking D1? Were you thinking Utah coming right out of Wasatch? Or did that really begin to grow a little bit maybe on the mission and when you got back from the mission?
That was something that I decided late into my senior year season of basketball. My coach knew Coach Connor well, and they had talked to me about wanting me to come walk on, and so I thought a lot about it. I didn't have a ton of interest from other schools. This was the only D1 school that had talked to me, and so I really felt like this was the right fit, and so I chose to do that. So the rest of my senior year and throughout my mission, I knew that I was coming here to Utah.
So was there ever consideration, you mentioned D1 offers, was there a thought of maybe going D2 or a different level and maybe having a bigger role or playing a little bit more?
Yeah, for sure. I had those thoughts. But since I was a little kid, I had the goal to play Division I basketball. And this is, like I said before, this was a gut feeling for me. This is what I felt like I should do. And whether I'm on the court playing or whether it's in practice, helping the guys out, I feel like I'm a part of this team. So
what's your early, you grew up here, so what's your earliest memory of Utah basketball? I don't know if your family took you to games at the Huntsman Center when you were a kid or if you watched it on TV, but what are some of your early memories of Utah basketball?
So probably my earliest memories are when Coach K and his family moved here. I was playing for a little club team called Pump and Run, and he had Cam come play with us. And so for several years, I was on the same team as Cam. And a couple of times, I think we were in 8th grade, Coach K picked a bunch of us up, and he had us play in the freshman league at the University of Utah camp. And he coached us through it. It was a blast, just me and some other guys playing against some older players. And so that had become part of my life when I was young, just being around Coach K and his family and his sons.
So you had an idea of who he was. I think sometimes fans forget. I think fans think, well, a kid commits to a school, and certainly you do commit to a school and what's there. But, the first connection you have to the school is generally through the coaches and
For
the
sure.
coaches that recruit you. And for a lot of kids, it's not till they're sophomores or juniors or sometimes seniors in high school. But it sounds like you had a connection to Utah and Larry way back in time. So you had a pretty good feel for what he was like and what the program was like before, basketball was really, it was commitment time.
Yeah, a little bit. Of course, there were a lot of things that I didn't know, but I did have that relationship already there.
So what was your freshman year like last year? You're back from the mission. You're stepping back on the floor again. You're out there with the fellas. It's certainly a step up in competition from whatever
Oh
you were
yeah.
doing in French Polynesia, and certainly whatever you were doing back at Wasatch High School too. So, what was that first couple of weeks of camp like last year?
I just remember feeling so excited to be back playing basketball. Those last couple months of my mission, I was just anxious to be back and be able to play. And I remember those first couple weeks, we had a lot of pickup going on, and I was just trying to soak it in and have as much fun as I could. And it was just a blast to be playing again.
You mentioned the mission. It was French Polynesia, which is
Uh-huh.
Tahiti and some of the other islands there. What, if anything, do they know? Is basketball even a thing in the French Polynesian Islands? And on your P days, were you able to go out and get a few shots up?
Every once in a while, I mean, they do have basketball, and a lot of their churches do have a court if it's outside or inside. So every once in a while, I'd be able to play, but not nearly as much as I would have loved, you know?
Well, Eli, you have a unique role. You got to play a little bit last year, and you don't
Mhm.
get to play in your role unless you bust your butt in practice. And clearly, you made an impression on coaches in practice. But when you get to college, everybody was one of the best players, if not the best player in their high school.
For sure.
So you're stepping out there with guys that are as good as you or better than you, but you also know that you're going to have to bust your butt just to get a couple of minutes of playing time. How did you know that coming in, and did you have that mindset coming in, or is that something that you kind of had to work your way into?
Well, mindset, I actually am not quite sure what my mindset was coming in. I knew that I was a walk-on, and I knew that all I wanted to do was work hard. And I honestly didn't care how much playing time I was getting, because as a walk-on, I wasn't expecting any. And so all I wanted to do was just work as hard as I can in practice, try to help myself get better and help my teammates. And I think it turned out well. I'm really grateful for what happened last season, the playing time that I was able to get, and the things that we were able to do as a team. But
When you're a walk on, you're a little further down the bench, and your
yeah,
your role is to be a good teammate mostly.
for
But
sure.
when Larry or Tommy or Andy turn and yell your name out to come in the ball game, what's that feeling like? Because
Man.
Timmy Allen expects to play 35 minutes a night.
Oh yeah.
Eli Ballstaedt might play 2 or 3 minutes a night, or he might not. So when they turn and yell your name, what's that feeling like?
I mean, it's a lot of emotions. It's excitement, it's nervousness. You get a little stressed, but once you get in and you just make a little play, that all goes away. And that's what I tried to focus. I tried to start on defense. I wasn't worried about making a shot. I wanted to get at least a little stop, do something right, maybe a little rebound, and then that's where the jitters go away and you're able to play.
Well, you want to acquit yourself well, but you also want to, as you say, do a couple of little things right, because then when the film breakdown comes, the coaches are going to point those good things out that you did, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's always good.
It is always good. So you've got a good group back, a lot of guys back from last
Hmm.
year. You were a really young group. You were one of the young ones. I mean, most of the veterans last year were sophomores
Yeah.
on the team, for goodness sake. So the core of the team is back, and you sprinkle a couple of newcomers in with Pelle Larson and Ian Martinez. You guys have been together now for the better part, most of you together for about a
Hmm.
month and a half. A few of the international guys, Mickey and Pelle, came in late, but
Yeah.
what's this group like, and what's the chemistry like early on?
I think it's looking good. It's a little bit hard right now. We have two groups going. So we've got one group lifting while the other group does a skills workout, and then vice versa for the next hour. And so we haven't been able to do too much together. But I think I think most importantly off the court, I think we're gelling. We get along well, we're having fun. when we have those opportunities. But I think that'll translate on the court when the time comes.
Is there a definitive leader? Is there an alpha dog or a couple of guys that kind of stepped up to take leadership roles?
Yeah, I think as always, Timmy Allen and Riley Batson are there helping us and pushing us to get better. I think they relay what the coaches want, and it's been great to have them.
You were one of that big group of newcomers a year ago. Only a couple of them this year. I mentioned
Yeah,
Ian and Pella. So give us a little scouting report on the two freshmen coming in and what kind of game they have.
man, they're both athletic. It's been so fun to watch them. We'll yell at Ian after practice, "Hey, put something up," and he's always showing us new dunks. But they're both quick and athletic and really good players.
Well, I know a lot of Utah fans, including me, are very anxious to see what those guys can do on the court. Is it weird, generally, by the time we are where we're at right now in mid-September, we're about a month away from practice and night with the Utes, and you've got a schedule. And right now, you guys are working out, doing some stuff, but you don't know when your first game's going to be. You don't know
Yeah.
when that first official late night. So how are you guys approaching that?
We're just taking it one day at a time, trying to get better each day. I mean, there's nothing that we can do more. Coach is taking care of everything that needs to be taken care of with the Pac-12 and the NCAA. So we're just doing what we can every day that we have.
I asked Riley Batten this. I'll ask you this question too. If we're lining everybody up for a three-point shooting contest, including you, handicap it for me. Give me a couple. Who do you think ends up in the final two if we're having a University of Utah three-point shootout? And you can feel free to include yourself if you want to.
All right. I would say me and Riley. I would love that
Really?
matchup. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Before I let you go, what would you like to tell Utah fans about this particular team and what you're looking forward to this year?
Man, it's gonna be fun. Um, I think we're building on what we had last year. I think we had a really good group of young guys last year, and we were able to do good things. And I think this next group is going to be able to do even better things. So we can get all the support that we can get, or that we need all the support that we can get. But we're excited, and we hope that all the fans are excited too to see us back on the court.
Well, we are excited, and we hope basketball is here sooner rather than later. Hey, thanks for your time. Continue to work your tail off. It's great catching up with you, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Bill. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Eli. Eli Ballstaedt with us here on our Ute Profile today. We'll see you again next time, and go Utes.